Captain Day-Wan stood in the massive chamber made entirely of crystal. Light came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He had never seen anything like this place. Behind him stood Ambassador Hana and Chief Engineer Tae Yang. They wore their best uniforms. This was supposed to be humanity's greatest day. The Galactic Council chamber stretched as far as he could see. Thousands of alien beings filled the space. Some floated in bubbles of liquid. Others stood on legs he could not count. Some were so small he could barely see them. Others were giants that touched the ceiling. After 300 years of being alone in space, humans had finally found others. They had finally made contact. Day-Wan remembered the day his ship, the UES Horizon, had detected the first alien signal. He had been so excited. They all had been. Earth sent him and his crew to make first contact. The aliens had welcomed them. They had invited Earth to join the Galactic Council. Today was the day humanity would become part of something bigger. But something felt wrong. The air in the chamber was too still. The aliens were too quiet. A massive creature that looked like a giant insect stepped forward. Its body was covered in shining green armor. 6 legs carried its weight. Multiple eyes stared at the humans. This was the Vril matriarch. She ruled over billions of her kind. Humans of Earth, her voice came through the translation device. It sounded cold. We have studied your species. We have watched your world. We have reviewed your request to join the Galactic Council. Hana stepped forward. She smiled. We are honored to be here. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. The matriarch did not respond to her smile. Instead, another being floated forward. It had no solid body. It was made of colored gas that swirled and changed. This was a member of the Keltheran collective. When it spoke, the voice sounded like wind. You are not ready, the Keltheran said. You will never be ready. Day-Wan felt his heart sink. Hana's smile disappeared. Tae-Yang put his hand on the weapon at his belt, but Day-Wan shook his head. They were surrounded by thousands of aliens. Fighting would be suicide. What do you mean? Hana asked. Her voice was steady, but Day-Wan could hear the fear underneath. The Vril matriarch activated a display in the center of the chamber. Images appeared in the air. They showed human history. Wars, weapons, cities burning. Then the images changed. They showed human ships, human technology, human colonies on Mars and the Moon. In just 300 years, you went from simple machines to faster-than-light travel, the matriarch said. It took most species 10,000 years. Some took 100,000 years. Your speed is unnatural. It is dangerous. We worked hard, Hana said. We learned fast. Is that a crime? You refuse to share your technology with us, the Keltheran said. You keep secrets. You hide your military strength. You do not trust us. You never asked us to share, Tae-Yang spoke up. His voice was angry. You tested us. You watched us. You never offered friendship. You offered judgment. The chamber filled with noise. Thousands of aliens began talking at once. Some made sounds like screams. Others buzzed or clicked or sang. Day-Wan could not understand any of it. The translation device could not keep up. The Vril matriarch raised one of her legs. The chamber fell silent. We have seen species like yours before, she said. Aggressive, competitive, individualistic. You celebrate violence in your entertainment. You worship warriors in your history. You cannot work together without conflict. You are too dangerous to be allowed into civilized space. That's not fair, Hana said. She stepped forward. Day-Wan saw her hands shaking, but she did not back down. Yes, we have conflict. Yes, we compete. But we also cooperate. We also love. We also dream. You are judging us by our worst moments and ignoring our best. Your best is not good enough, the Keltheran said. The matriarch activated another display. This time it showed a map of the galaxy. Earth and the solar system glowed in red. The Galactic Council has made a decision, the matriarch announced. Humanity is hereby quarantined. You will not be allowed to leave your solar system. You will not be allowed to colonize other worlds beyond your sun. Any human ship that attempts to cross the boundary will be destroyed. This is for the safety of the galaxy. You can't do this, Tae-Yang shouted. This is our right. Every species has the right to explore, to grow. You have no rights here, the matriarch said. The vote was clear. 731 civilizations voted for quarantine. Only 116 voted against it. Your fate is sealed. Day-Wan felt rage building inside him. They had traveled so far. They had hoped for so much, and now they were being locked away like prisoners, like animals in a cage. When? He asked quietly. The barrier will activate in 48 hours, the Keltheran said. You have that long to return to your solar system. After that, the halting field will be complete. Nothing will pass through it. This audience is over. The three humans were escorted out of the chamber by floating spheres that hummed with energy. They did not speak until they were back on their ship. The U.S. horizon felt small and fragile compared to the massive alien vessels around it. We need to warn Earth, Hana said. She was already at the communications station. They won't believe it, Taeyang said. He sat down heavily. We went out to make friends. We're coming back as prisoners. Day One looked out at the stars. So many stars. So many worlds they would never see. So many species they would never meet. All because the Council was afraid. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. We need to get home before that barrier goes up. The journey back took 30 hours. They pushed the engines harder than they had ever pushed them before. When they finally arrived in Earth's orbit, government ships were already waiting for them. President Bora herself came aboard the horizon. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led Earth through 20 years of peace. Now she would lead them into isolation. Daewon, Hana, and Taeyang told her everything. They showed her the recordings from the council chamber. They explained the quarantine, the halting field, the threat of destruction if they tried to leave. Bora watched it all in silence. When they finished, she stood up and walked to the window. Earth turned slowly below them, blue and green and beautiful. They think they can cage us, she said softly. They think fear will keep us small. What do we do? Hana asked. Bora turned around. Her eyes were hard as stone. We prepare, she said. We build, we learn. We grow stronger. And one day we will show them what happens when you try to cage humanity. 12 hours later, the halting field activated. It appeared as a wall of shimmering energy at the edge of the solar system. Earth's deep space sensors detected it immediately. It surrounded the entire solar system in a perfect sphere. Any ship that touched it would be torn apart. On Mars' orbital platform, a young scientist named Jiwoo watched the barrier appear. She was only 23 years old. She had dreamed of exploring the galaxy her entire life. Now she would never leave the solar system. But as she watched the barrier pulse with alien energy, she made a promise to herself. This isn't the end, she whispered. This is just the beginning. She turned away from the window and walked back to her laboratory. There was work to do. Humanity had been given a cage. But cages could be broken. Barriers could be torn down. It would take time. It would take sacrifice. But humanity had never been good at accepting defeat. The Council had made a mistake. They had given humanity a common enemy. They had given them a reason to unite, and united humanity was unstoppable. 100 years had passed since the barrier went up. An entire generation had lived and died knowing only the cage. The halting field still glowed at the edge of the solar system. It had never failed. It had never weakened. Earth and its colonies were still prisoners, but humanity had not been idle. Minho stood in a secret facility deep under the surface of Europa, one of Jupiter's frozen moons. Ice stretched for kilometers above his head. Down here, no sensors could detect them. Down here, they could work in peace. He was the grandson of President Bora, who had died 30 years ago. She had started the Shadow Initiative in secret. Only a few people knew it existed. Its mission was simple: find a way to break the halting field. Find a way to free humanity. Minho had dedicated his entire life to this goal. He was now 40 years old and led the Shadow Initiative. He coordinated efforts across all human colonies: Mars, Luna, Titan, Europa. Dozens of secret facilities worked on the same problem. How do you break through a wall that destroys anything that touches it? For 90 years they had tried everything. Nuclear weapons, antimatter, quantum torpedoes. Nothing worked. The halting field absorbed every attack and grew stronger. It was like trying to punch through a star. But 3 months ago, everything changed. Dr. Yuna walked into the meeting room. She was young, only 32, but already one of the brightest minds in quantum physics. She had been born on Titan Station and had never seen Earth with her own eyes. The cage was all she had ever known. I found something, she said without greeting. She activated the holographic display. Numbers and equations filled the air. Minho did not understand most of them. He was a leader, not a scientist. But he recognized excitement when he saw it. The halting field uses a specific energy signature, Yuna explained. For years we thought it was unique. But I found a match. It's the same signature as theoretical dark matter conduits. An old man in the corner of the room sat up straight. This was Tae Yang, now 140 years old. Medical technology had extended his life, but he was still dying slowly. He had been on the UES horizon when the council passed their judgment. He had spent his entire life working to undo that judgment. Dark matter conduits, Tae Yang repeated. His voice was weak, but his mind was sharp. That means the field isn't blocking normal space. It's blocking the transition between normal space and faster-than-light space. Exactly, Yuna said. She smiled. We've been trying to go through it. But what if we go around it? Minho leaned forward. Explain. Yuna changed the display. It now showed the solar system surrounded by the halting field. Then she added another layer underneath. Dark space exists below normal space, she said. It's how FTL travel works. We drop into dark space, move, then come back up. The halting field blocks that transition, but dark space itself is infinite. If we can tunnel through dark space without surfacing, we can bypass the field entirely. Can we do that? Minho asked. I think so, Yuna said, but we'll need to build a new type of ship. Something that can navigate dark space without surfacing. It will be dangerous. The math says it's possible, but we've never tested it. Tae Yang stood up slowly. His legs shook, but he refused help. Build it, he said. I'll test it myself. You're too old, Minho said gently. I'm dying anyway, Tae Yang replied. Cancer. I have maybe 2 years left. Let me do this. Let me see the stars one more time before I die. The room fell silent. Finally, Minho nodded. It took 3 months to build the ship. They called it the Shadow Runner. It was small, barely large enough for 5 people. It had no weapons, no armor. All its power went to the dark space tunneling engine. Captain Hyunwoo commanded the Shadow Runner. He was a master pilot and had been in the military before joining the Shadow Initiative. He was calm under pressure and never panicked. If anyone could navigate dark space blind, it was him. Tae Yang insisted on being part of the crew. Despite his age, despite his sickness, he would not be left behind. 3 other volunteers joined them. Engineer Soo-jin, Navigator Kwon, Scientist Yuna, who refused to let anyone else test her theory. The launch was secret. Only Minho and a handful of others knew it was happening. The Shadow Runner left from a hidden dock on Europa and flew toward the halting field. Beginning dark space tunnel sequence, Hyunwoo said calmly. His hands moved across the controls. The ship began to vibrate. Reality outside the windows became strange. Colors that had no names appeared and disappeared. The stars twisted into spirals. Tunnel forming, Yuna reported. Energy levels holding. Field integrity at 98%. The Shadow Runner dove down. Not through the halting field, but under it. They dropped into dark space and kept going deeper. Levels of reality that humans had never explored opened up around them. For 3 hours they traveled through impossible geometries. Space folded in ways that hurt to look at. Time moved sideways. Kwon reported seeing things that could not exist, but his instruments said they were real. Then suddenly they surfaced. Normal space appeared around them again. Stars shone in familiar patterns, but when Soo-jin checked their position, she gasped. We're outside the field, she said. We're in the outer veil. We traveled 40 light years. Tae Yang laughed. It was a sound of pure joy. Tears ran down his old face. We did it, he whispered. We're free, but they were not alone. Sensors detected a ship approaching. It was not human. For a moment, Hyunwoo thought it might be a council patrol. His hand went to the weapons controls. Then they received a transmission. Human vessel, we mean no harm. The voice said through the translator. We are Drayan. We saw your emergence. We know what you have done. The council quarantined us once 3,000 years ago. We know what it is to be caged. We know what it is to break free. Welcome to the rebellion. The Drayan ship was massive, 10 times the size of the Shadow Runner. When Hyunwoo and his crew boarded it, they found themselves facing reptilian beings covered in red and gold scales. The Drayan captain was named Daehyun. He greeted them with respect. The council fears change, Daehyun explained. They have ruled for 50,000 years. Any species that advances too quickly is seen as a threat. They quarantine them. Most species accept it. They live in their cages and die there. But some, like us, like you, refuse to accept it. How many others are there? Yuna asked. 17 species have broken their quarantines over the millennia, Dae-hyun said. Most of us live out here in the outer veil, where council authority is weak. We trade with each other. We share technology. We survive. We need your help, Hyunwoo said. Humanity is still trapped. We have one ship that can escape, but we need to free our entire species. Dae-hyun's eyes, golden and reptilian, studied them carefully. Then he nodded. We will help you, he said. Not for free, we want an alliance. The council grows weaker every year. More species are questioning their rule. A rebellion is coming. When it does, we want humans fighting beside us. Done, Hyunwoo said immediately. They spent 2 weeks with the Drayan. They learned about metamaterials that could strengthen their ships. They learned about quantum shielding. They learned about weapons that bent physics itself. When the Shadowrunner returned to the solar system, tunneling back through dark space, they carried data crystals filled with knowledge. They carried proof that humanity was not alone. They carried hope. Minho met them at the Europa facility. When Hyunwoo showed him everything they had learned, Minho made a decision. We're done hiding, he said. We're done being prisoners. It's time to build a fleet. Secret shipyards were established in the asteroid belt and in Saturn's rings. Thousands of workers were recruited and sworn to secrecy. Using both human engineering and Drayan technology, they began building warships. The public knew nothing. As far as Earth's population was concerned, humanity had accepted its fate. Life went on. People worked. They had families. They built colonies on Mars and Titan. They pretended the cage did not exist. But in the shadows, in the secret places, humanity prepared for war. 5 years after the Shadowrunner's first journey, the fleet was ready. 300 warships floated in hidden docks. Each one was equipped with dark space drives. Each one carried weapons the Council had never seen. Each one was crewed by volunteers who were ready to die for freedom. Admiral Jin Seo commanded the fleet from the flagship Defiant Star. She was a tactical genius who had studied every battle in human history. She knew how to win against impossible odds. On the day the fleet was completed, Minho gave a speech to the assembled crews. 50,000 people listened. For 100 years we have been prisoners, he said. For 100 years we have been told we are too dangerous, too violent, too human. But we did not give up. We did not surrender. And now, we are ready to take back our freedom. The crowd roared. But that same day, a council patrol ship detected strange energy readings near Jupiter. The readings were brief, just a flicker, but they were noticed. A report was filed. It reached the Vril matriarch. The council realized humanity had been preparing for war, and they decided to end the human threat permanently. The alert came in the middle of the night. Minho was asleep in his quarters on Europa when the emergency signal woke him. His heart pounded as he rushed to the command center. Admiral Jin Seo was already there. Her face was pale. We have a problem, she said. She activated the main display. A council patrol detected our energy signature near Jupiter. They know something is wrong. How much do they know? Minho asked, unknown. But the patrol ship sent a message to Vril Prime before we could stop it. The council knows we're active. They'll investigate, Minho cursed. They had been so careful. For 5 years, they had hidden their construction efforts. For 5 years, they had remained invisible. Now all of that was at risk. How long do we have? He asked. Before Jin Seo could answer, another alert sounded. This one was different, urgent, critical. A technician turned from her station. Her hands shook. Sir, we just received a coded transmission. It's from inside council space. From someone named Su Min. Who is that? Minho asked. One of the Thessians, Jin Seo said. An aquatic species. They voted against our quarantine 100 years ago. Some of them have been sympathetic to our cause. The message played. It was audio only, badly encrypted, transmitted in a rush. Humans, this is Sumin, investigator for the Thessian Diplomatic Corps. I have risked everything to send this message. The council knows about your fleet. They detected your ships. The Vril matriarch has called an emergency session. They are voting on a solution to the human problem. The message paused. When it continued, Suman's voice was filled with fear. They are going to destroy you. All of you. The Council has authorized the use of a stellar collapse device. They will destabilize your sun and destroy your entire solar system. The Dreadnought fleet is already being assembled. 2,000 ships. They will arrive in your system in 3 weeks. I am sorry. I tried to stop this. They executed me for sending this message. My body is already dead. This is a time-delayed transmission. Please humans, run, hide, survive. The galaxy needs you. The message ended. The command center was absolutely silent. 50 people stared at the display in horror. The Council was going to destroy their sun. Everything, Earth, Mars, all the colonies. Billions of people. All of it would be erased. We need to evacuate, someone said. We have 3 weeks. We can get people onto ships. We have 300 warships, another voice said. We can maybe fit 1 million people if we pack them in. Earth has 12 billion. Mars has 3 billion. We can't save everyone. Then we choose who lives? Jinseo asked coldly. We decide who deserves to survive? And what happens after? We run forever? Hide in dark space until we starve? What choice do we have? Minho asked quietly. Jinseo turned to look at him. Her eyes were hard. We fight, she said. Against 2,000 ships? We have 300. Yes, we'll die. Maybe. But if we run, we die anyway, slowly. Hunted, scattered. At least if we fight, we die as humans, free, defiant. Minho closed his eyes. He thought about his grandmother, President Bora. She had started this fight 100 years ago. She had told them to prepare, to grow stronger. She had believed humanity could win. He opened his eyes. Send a message to the Drayan. Tell them we need their fleet, every ship they can spare. Tell them the fight is coming now, ready or not. The next 3 weeks were chaos. The secret fleet moved from the hidden shipyards to defensive positions throughout the solar system. They could not hide anymore. There was no point. The Council was coming. The public finally learned the truth. The news spread across Earth, Mars, all the colonies. Humanity was about to be attacked. The government broadcast Minho's speech explaining everything. The quarantine. The Shadow Initiative. The secret fleet. The coming battle. Panic erupted. Some people tried to flee into deep space, but there was nowhere to go. The halting field still surrounded them. Others rioted. Many simply prepared to die, but millions of others volunteered. They wanted to fight. They wanted to defend their home. The military struggled to process all the volunteers. There were not enough ships, not enough weapons, not enough time. Admiral Jinseo worked without sleep. She positioned the fleet in a defensive formation. Gravity mines were deployed near Neptune's orbit. Quantum disruptors were placed around Jupiter. Kinetic kill stations orbited Saturn. The entire solar system became a fortress. On the 10th day, the Drayan arrived. Daehyun brought 400 ships. They were joined by the Canari, an avian species with sleek, fast vessels. The Molten Collective, silicon-based beings who lived in the hearts of stars, brought ships that could withstand incredible heat. 7 other species sent representatives. In total, humanity's alliance had 750 ships. The Council was bringing 2,000. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. They watched the sky. Some prayed. Others simply held their families. Everyone knew what was coming. Minho stood on the bridge of the Defiant Star, Admiral Jinseo's flagship. He had no military training. He had no business being here, but he refused to hide. If humanity died today, he would die with them. The Council fleet has entered our sensor range, a technician reported. They're on the edge of the solar system. 2,043 vessels. The flagship is massive, 12 kilometers long. Energy readings are off the scale. That's the Keltheran Warmind's ship, Daehyun said. He stood beside Minho, his reptilian face unreadable. I've seen it before. It destroyed my homeworld's moon as a demonstration of power. It's a monster. Can we destroy it? Jinseo asked. Maybe. If we sacrifice half our fleet to get close enough. Then that's what we'll do. The Council fleet moved slowly into the solar system. They were not rushing. They knew they had already won. Their numbers were overwhelming. Their weapons were superior. This was not a battle. This was an execution. A transmission came through. The Keltheran Warmind's voice sounded like a winter storm. Humans, you have violated your quarantine. You have built weapons in secret. You have allied with known rebels. For these crimes, the Galactic Council has authorized your complete extermination. Your sun will be collapsed. Your worlds will be erased. Your species will be forgotten. This is justice, another voice joined the transmission. The Vril Matriarch. We gave you mercy once. We allowed you to live in your cage. You should have accepted it. You should have been grateful. But you chose defiance. You chose death. So be it. The Warmind's voice returned. You have one chance to avoid total destruction. Surrender now. Deactivate your weapons. Allow your leaders to be executed. The rest of your population will be transported to work colonies. You will serve the Council for 10 generations. Your children's children will pay for your crimes. But you will live. This is our final offer. Minho looked at Jinseo. She looked at Daehyun. The Drayan captain bared his teeth in what might have been a smile. Minho activated the transmission channel. His voice was calm. We did not choose this fight. You brought it to us. We asked only for freedom. You offered slavery. You banned us from the stars because you were afraid of us. You were right to be afraid. He paused. On Earth, billions of people listened. On Mars, on Titan, on every human colony. They all heard his next words. We will not surrender. We will not serve. We will not be forgotten. If you want to kill us, come and try. But know this, we are human. We do not go quietly. We do not die easily. And we will take as many of you with us as we can. He closed the channel. The Keltheran Warmind did not respond with words. Instead, the Council fleet began to advance. 2,000 ships moving like a storm. Admiral Jinseo raised her hand. Every ship in the human fleet watched her. Every captain waited for the signal. She dropped her hand. All ships, she said quietly. Fire everything. Neptune's orbit lit up like a new sun. Gravity mines detonated in a chain reaction. Space itself twisted and tore. The first wave of Council ships, 500 strong, flew into the trap. Dozens of ships were torn apart immediately. Others were caught in gravity wells that crushed them like paper. The Council fleet's perfect formation broke apart. Second wave, Jinseo ordered. Quantum disruptors around Jupiter activated. They sent pulses of energy that disrupted the Council ship's shields. For a few seconds, the enemy was vulnerable. Human railguns fired. Kinetic kill projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed punched through Council hulls. 20 ships exploded, 30, 50. The Council fleet reeled. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, they were bleeding. Third wave. All ships engage. The human fleet did not wait for the enemy to come to them. Using dark space micro-jumps, they appeared inside the Council formation. It was suicide. It was insane. It was working. Human ships materialized next to Council vessels and fired at point-blank range. Then they jumped away before the enemy could retaliate. It was like fighting shadows. The Council could not predict where the humans would appear next. Captain Hyunwoo led a squadron of 50 ships directly at the Warmind's flagship. They jumped 3 times, getting closer each time. Council defenses tried to track them but failed. On the 4th jump, Hyunwoo's squadron appeared right next to the massive ship. All power to weapons, he ordered. Fire on my mark. 50 ships fired together. Their combined firepower was enough to crack a planet. The Warmind's flagship shuddered. Its shields collapsed. A massive explosion tore through its engine section. The flagship began to drift, powerless. The Council fleet fell into chaos. The Council fleet was in chaos, but they were far from defeated. Even with their flagship damaged, they still outnumbered humanity 3-1. The Vril Matriarch took command from her own vessel and reorganized the attack. Destroy them all, she ordered. No mercy, no survivors. The Council ships regrouped. They stopped trying to fight the human tactics and instead focused on brute force. Hundreds of ships concentrated their fire on single targets. Human vessels began to die. The destroyer Brave Dawn exploded under concentrated fire. 200 crew members died instantly. The cruiser New Hope was torn in half by a Vril particle beam. The frigate Morning Star was rammed by a Council ship that self-destructed. We're losing ships too fast, Daehyun reported. His own vessel had taken heavy damage. We can't sustain this. Admiral Jinseo watched the battle display. Red icons showed human ships dying. There were fewer and fewer of them. The Council was winning through sheer numbers. Pull back the forward squadrons, she ordered. Reform around Jupiter. We'll make them fight through our defensive grid. The human fleet retreated. It looked like surrender. The Council fleet pursued eagerly. They thought they had broken humanity's will. They were wrong. As the Council fleet pushed past Jupiter, the real trap activated. Hidden platforms that had been silent throughout the battle suddenly came online. They were not weapons. They were gravity generators. Jupiter's gravity well was already immense. Now, artificially enhanced, it became irresistible. Council ships were pulled off course. They tried to fight free, but their engines could not overcome the pull. Dozens of ships were dragged into Jupiter's atmosphere and crushed. Now, Jinseo said quietly, human ships that had been hiding in Jupiter's shadow emerged. They fired missiles into the trapped Council vessels. It was a slaughter. 100 Council ships died in minutes, but the Vril matriarch had one more card to play. Activate the quantum unraveling device, she ordered. On Titan Station, alarms screamed. Dr. Yuna was working in her laboratory when the sensors detected something impossible, a massive energy buildup on the Vril flagship. The signature was like nothing she had ever seen. She ran calculations frantically. Her hand shook as she realized what it was. No, she whispered. No, they wouldn't. She opened a channel to the Defiant Star. Admiral, they're charging a quantum weapon. It's designed to destabilize matter at the subatomic level. If they fire it at Earth, the entire planet will come apart. Every atom will separate. It will be like Earth never existed. Minho felt his blood turn to ice. Can we stop it? Jinseo asked. I need time to think, Yuna said. I need to run calculations. We don't have time, Jinseo interrupted. How long until they fire? 5 minutes. Maybe less. The bridge fell silent. 5 minutes. That was all they had. All of humanity had 5 minutes to live. Yuna's mind raced. Quantum unraveling worked by disrupting the strong nuclear force that held atoms together. If she could generate an inverse field, she could reflect the disruption back at its source. But the power requirements were enormous. I can stop it, she said suddenly. But I need a massive power source. Something that can generate a focused quantum field across an entire planet. What about Titan Station's reactor? Taeyang's voice came through. He was still on the station with Yuna. At 145 years old, he should have been resting. Instead, he had insisted on helping. It's powerful enough, Yuna said, but using it this way will overload the reactor. The station will explode. How many people are on the station? Minho asked. 3,000, Taeyang replied. But we can evacuate. We have time. No, we don't, Yuna said. She was looking at the calculations. The device will fire in 4 minutes. Evacuation takes 20 minutes. And even if we evacuate everyone else, someone needs to stay to calibrate the field manually. The timing has to be perfect. 1 second off and Earth dies anyway. Then evacuate everyone else, Taeyang said calmly. I'll stay. I'll handle the calibration. You can't do it alone, Yuna said. Then we do it together. You're asking me to kill myself, Yuna said. She was crying. I'm 37 years old. I have my whole life ahead of me. And Earth has 12 billion lives depending on you, Taeyang said gently. I'm dying anyway. My cancer will kill me in months. But you're young. You're brilliant. You have so much to give. Let me do this alone. No, Yuna said. She wiped her tears away. Her voice became steady. I designed this. I know the mathematics better than anyone. If anyone is going to calibrate this field, it's me. And I won't let you die alone. Yuna, Minho started to say. There's no time to argue, she interrupted. We're starting the evacuation now. Everyone off the station except me and Taeyang. We'll send you the calculations. When we activate the field, you need to destroy the Vril flagship before they can fire a second shot. She closed the channel before anyone could argue. On Titan Station, alarms blared as the evacuation began. 3,000 people rushed to escape pods and shuttles. They had 3 minutes. Some would not make it. Yuna and Taeyang worked together in the main reactor room. They reprogrammed the reactor's entire output. Instead of generating power for the station, it would generate a quantum inverse field. Every bit of energy would be focused on Earth. I'm sorry you had to make this choice, Taeyang said as he worked. I'm not, Yuna replied. My whole life I wanted to do something important. Something that mattered. I'm saving Earth. I'm saving humanity. What could be more important than that? You could have had a family, children, a long life. I could have. But instead, I have this moment. And that's enough. The last evacuation shuttle left the station with 30 seconds to spare. 2,700 people had made it off. 300 had not. They would die with the station. The Vril device is firing, Yuna reported. She watched the energy beam lance toward Earth. It moved at light speed. In 8 minutes, it would reach the planet. Activating counterfield, Tae-Yang said. Titan Station's reactor went critical. Every safety system screamed warnings. The power output exceeded design limits by 1,000%. The station began to shake apart. The quantum inverse field erupted from the station. It was invisible to the eye, but sensors across the solar system detected it. The field expanded toward Earth, racing to intercept the Vril weapon. In the last seconds, Yuna and Tae-Yang held hands. "Do you think there's anything after this?" she asked. "I hope so," Tae-Yang said. "I'd like to see my wife again. She died 20 years ago. I've missed her every day since." "Tell her you're a hero. Tell her you saved humanity." "I will. And I'll tell her about you. The brilliant young woman who chose to die with a grumpy old man." Yuna laughed. It was a sound of pure joy. The quantum field reached Earth just as the Vril weapon arrived. The two forces met in the upper atmosphere. For a moment, reality itself seemed to pause. Then the inverse field did its work. The Vril weapon's energy reversed. Instead of destroying Earth, it reflected back along its path. At light speed, it returned to its source. The Vril flagship had 8 minutes to realize what had happened. The matriarch tried to shut down the quantum device, but it was too late. The reflected energy struck the flagship with the force of a collapsing star. The flagship exploded. The shockwave destroyed 300 council ships around it. The Vril matriarch died instantly, along with 50,000 of her kind, and on Titan Station the reactor exploded. The station, and everyone still on it, vanished in a flash of light brighter than the sun. Yuna and Tae-Yang were gone. The council fleet broke. They had lost their flagship. They had lost their commander. They had lost their superweapon. And they had lost the will to fight. "All ships retreat," the Keltheran second-in-command ordered. "Fall back to council space." But Admiral Jinseo was not done. "All ships pursue," she ordered. "We end this now." The human fleet, joined by the Draen and the other allies, chased the council fleet across 3 star systems. It became known as the Long Hunt. Any council ship that tried to stand and fight was destroyed. Any ship that surrendered was taken prisoner. The battle lasted 6 days. By the end, the council fleet was reduced to 400 ships. 1,400 vessels had been destroyed or captured. Humanity had won, but the cost was terrible. 89 human ships had been destroyed. Nearly 100,000 humans had died. Titan Station was gone. Some of humanity's brightest minds had been lost. But Earth was safe. On the 7th day, Admiral Jinseo led her fleet to Vril Prime, the Council's capital world. The city-sized crystal structures where the Council met were in chaos. Without the matriarch, the Vril had no leadership. Minho landed on Vril Prime with a company of Marines. They marched into the Council chamber where, 100 years ago, humanity had been judged and condemned. Now it was humanity's turn to judge. "The Galactic Council is hereby dissolved," Minho announced to the assembled aliens. "Your authority is over. Your age has ended." He looked at the thousands of alien beings in the chamber. Most looked terrified. Some looked angry. A few looked relieved. "We did not want this war," Minho continued. "You forced it on us. You tried to cage us. You tried to destroy us. You failed, and now you will live with the consequences." He turned to leave, then stopped. "But we are not you. We will not rule through fear. We will not quarantine species because we are afraid of them. A new age begins today. An age of freedom. An age of cooperation. An age where every species has a voice." He walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the council that had ruled for 50,000 years collapsed into chaos. Across the galaxy, word spread. Humanity, the species that had been banned from the stars, had defeated the Galactic Council. The cage had been broken. The prisoners had become kings. But Minho did not feel like a king. He felt tired, sad. The price of freedom had been so high. He thought about Yuna and Tae-Yang, about the 100,000 dead, about all the lives sacrificed. Was it worth it? He asked himself. He looked at the stars, endless and free. Humanity could go anywhere now, do anything. The galaxy was open. Yes, he whispered. It was worth it.